Nurse Justin has created something that he calls the dot strategy. And this is something that is useful on test day. And as soon as, oh, here we go, perfect. So Nurse Justin, take it away, and then I'll start doing farm.
Hey, everybody. So as Dr. Z just said, I came up with this called a dot strategy, tested it out with a couple of my students, and some of you may have seen people mention it on Facebook today. This is a way to help you fight that anxiety on test day. I think we all can say that when we get in there, all the confidence that we have as we sit down in front of that test and hit start kind of just starts to build up an anxiety, and we suddenly start losing our confidence in a few things. So I came up with this strategy in order to alleviate and keep organized. One way I like to describe it is, as we know what the method is, the method's purpose is for us to take control of the question. Well, the dot strategy's purpose is for you to take control of the test. And I'm going to explain that here in just 1 second. So in the chat, go ahead and answer this question for me. How many of you know that up in the top right corner of NCLEX that you can actually turn off the timer and the question counter? All right, I'm seeing a lot of yeses, a lot of no's, so that's great. I want to tell you that yes, you can do that. Up in the top right corner, you're going to hover your cursor over the timer. It'll turn yellow. You're going to click on it, and then it's going to go into a dot. And same thing with the question counter. Now you may be wondering, how do I know what question I'm going to be on? I'm going to get to that in just a second. Everybody's whiteboard, to my knowledge, and if yours isn't, then you'll have to adjust. But most whiteboards come in a graph form. So what I did in order to keep me on track and organized in my tests and what I've been teaching this is I use the graph to my advantage. Now, we know that in UWorld, we have the ability to cross out answers as we're using the method, and we can move on from it. One of my professors used to like to say, click, stick, and move on. We click the answer, we stick to it, and then we move on to the next thing. We don't go back, we don't second guess ourselves, we just continue on. So first thing that you're going to do with your graph paper is you're going to just write out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, obviously this is for 6 potential answers on any given question, whether it's select all that apply or 4 answers for multiple choice. So we're going to use the method. We're going to compare 4 to 3. Let's say that we say 4 is not correct. So we're going to put a dot, and here's where the name dot strategy comes into play. The dot says that you are eliminating this answer, okay? So then we're going to compare 3 to 2. We're going to say 2 is not the answer. We're eliminating 2. We're then going to say 1 compared to 3 is not the answer. We're going to put a check mark in 3. Moving on to question 2. Now, 2 questions can fit in each box. We're going to do the same thing. Compare 4 to 3. We're going to eliminate 3. Compare 4 to 2. We're going to eliminate 2. Compare 4 to 1, but we're going to eliminate 4. Number 1 is the answer. You can kind of see this. Now we're going to do the same thing with select all that apply questions. And when we do select all that apply based off of the method, it's we look at the answer and we make a decision. Okay, so we look at 6, we say, yes, that's the correct answer. 5 is correct. 4 is completely outlandish, as well as 3. 2 is the answer, and 1 is also not there. You can kind of see how this is starting to help you stay organized. You can keep track of what question you're on because each box is worth 2 questions. So I tell every one of my students, and I'm glad that I believe it was Caitlin who said it. She took her break when she got to 40. Take your breaks. We tell you to take your breaks during your 440s. Take your break in NCLEX. But you're wondering, how do I know when I get to 40? Well, I just said that 1 box equals 2 questions. So we're going to count out 20 boxes. Let's say this is the 20th box. And above it, we're going to write break. So you know when you get to this question here, it's time to take a break. Don't worry about, sorry, my thing is a little delayed. Don't worry about, oh, I want to keep going on. The purpose of taking your breaks is because as you're sitting there in the chair, that blood is going away from your brain. Your brain is not getting perfused properly anymore. So you need to get up, do something active. I tell every single one of my students in a group session or one-on-one, if you would have been there on my test day, I'm a huge Seattle Seahawks fan. I was wearing a bright lime green jersey, and I was in the hall of the testing center doing karate moves, doing jumping jacks, doing push-ups. Yes, I went to the bathroom, I got a drink, but I got that blood pumping back in my brain. And then the one thing you don't want to do is don't think about questions that you just answered, because can you go back and change them? No, you can't. So don't worry about something you can't change. Get that blood back in your brain and get ready to go down for the next 40 questions, because we're still going in for 145 questions. So when you get back into in front of the computer, you're going to count out another 20 boxes. And once again, you're going to write down break. Now you may be asking, okay, but what if it's a drag and drop question? Well, that's easy. If it's a drag and drop question in those 4 boxes, you're just going to write drag. And again, it's slow. It'll pop up there in a second, I promise. There it goes. If it's a math question, you're going to write math. And if it's a hotspot question, you write hot S. Okay. Every 40 questions, you're going to get up, you're going to take a break. You don't have to be looking at that timer. You don't have to be looking at that counter, because you are taking control of this test. This isn't Pearson's test. This isn't the Board of Nursing's NCLEX. This is Caitlin's NCLEX. This is Justin's NCLEX. This is James's NCLEX. This is your NCLEX. So take control of it. This is the DOT strategy. It helps you take control, alleviate your anxiety, and not worry. You can also keep track of how many different types of questions you have. No, the amount of SATA questions does not determine how well or poorly you're doing. But while we tell everyone, don't count your SATAs, you don't need to count your SATAs, we know that people are going to still do it. So this helps you keep organized, keep you focused, and keep you moving. Take your breaks. Use the DOT strategy. It helps. I really hope that you guys use this.